Oh yeah, tomate jibakala. Oh yeah, tomate jibakala. Ndiye fino wayezo fino. Tomate jibakala. Yes, my people, good day to you all. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to wherever you are, or whatever time of day you might be watching this particular program. Me, na USIFU Jalloh, here with the diaspora voices. This na the topic of Speak Up, Speak Out with USIFU Jalloh, the cow footprints. Today again, we can discuss the subject on Bai Bureh again. And some of una way, sometimes una join for the first time, una know, una be don't miss the very first program, which was Spirit of Bai Bureh Part 1. Then we do Spirit of Bai Bureh Part 2. And now we can do Spirit of Bai Bureh Part 3. And if I don't follow the program, when I don't realize it, the first one I'm not going to get bia, the second one I get small bia. This third one I don't grow bia, just like a Bai Bureh. Well, we want for make una join with on this program for discuss very important issues, topics, subjects about this wonderful man what we call Bai Bureh. For any of una we don't miss the first two programs them, I want to make una go to the Diaspora Voices Facebook page or Diaspora Voices YouTube page. Una go able forget the part 1 and part 2. So una go follow on to waiting we discuss today. Well, me fambulem. Today again, we want for go inside the kotoku. Go inside the shuku blind. Make we pull all thing. Make we nyanga all thing. Make we pull all and open them and discuss and find out about we self. We self as Sierra Leoneans, we self as Africans. Well, as we people let's say, know yourself not to cause, na good advice. Well, for make we know we self today, the topic na the giant within. So I want to make we discuss this topic, the giant within. Wetin make we know so much about Bai Bureh history. Wetin make even by all the different history lessons that we get in our school, still we only know so little about Bai Bureh. Well, today, for can discuss a little bit more, why make we not know so much about Bai Bureh? Today I get me two special guests them. First guest where I get now a historian, somebody who is passionate about Sierra Leone history, passionate about African history. Do you have me fambulem? I want to make una, please greet me first guest, or shall I say make me first guest greet una. My first guest here, Mr. Ade Daramy.
Yes, fambulem una cabo, una kushe, and we hope to say by the time we've done this, because it's not a lecture, not to a seminar, this is a conversation. By the time we've done this conversation, all man we're gonna learn something, we're gonna learn something from each other.
Thank you, Mr. Daramy. Well, the second guest where they with we also instead now familiar face now to we on this particular program also, but not only that, now familiar face now the acting stage, now familiar face now the one all Britain and most of Europe and few other countries in Africa, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and all the countries like this one who say it don't go perform, it don't promote a lot of the African culture. This person here, so now none other than the wonderful, famous actor, Mr. Patrice Naimbana.
Hey, USIFU, thank you very much for that introduction. May people them, I'm for telling you plenty. I do, and I hope say you are all well. You are in good spirits with your families and your acquaintances and all our neighbor them. Whosoever on a day, let God bless you now. And we hope that as I see, we will get an interesting conversation. We will provoke more questions about leadership and the wonderful qualities where we know see we get as Sierra Leoneans and how for help we country for go before for the generation then we get for calm. Thank you very much. But Yusuf, I get to tell you one thing, my brother. This you keep calling me an actor. I am an African performing artist. Thank you. Acting are just one discipline no more we man can touch pan. now and then, where I want to stretch my legs.
Fumble there. Una don't hear only way one for stretching leg no more bap. Now that's it, they become actor. But when they actually want for turn Africa man, proper one, na actor, na dancer, na drummer, na motivator, na inspirator.
Yes.
This na the true spirit, of course, of Bai Bureh. Na Mr. Patrice Naimbana carry so. And indeed, this na the reason we make we discuss this particular topic we want to look at today. Because just as you say, because I don't say you're an actor, you already don't correct me for saying, me not to just actor. In other words, me cannot just tell people them say you're not just a one-sided story. And this now the characteristics of actually so many African leaders them who we don't get in the past. And Bai Bureh is no different, because the song where we all get na Sierra Leone, Bai Bureh was a warrior. All man we ask anybody, who was Bai Bureh? He was a warrior. And then it goes downhill from there. Because even when you think of the word warrior, right? Just if they call it say you're a warrior, it's like you just hold spear and you arm, with small I don't call a grass cats, you jump in a bush, that's who a warrior is. But first of all, let me just look that one day. Was Bai Bureh a warrior? Mr. Daramy, I will throw that first question there to you.
Well, it's an interesting one, because very briefly, I could mention the fact that when I teach Peking there, I can always ask them this question, who that's now you, what do you be? Then they go say, oh, me now this. I say, okay, but so until you know somebody in brother, you know somebody in Peking, you know somebody in cousin, all man, they're different, what you say. So when we do one of them program, we talk about people like Marcus Garvey, we talk about people like Amilcar Cabral, okay? Now imagine, Amilcar Cabral, now he lead Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, and then overthrow the Portuguese and get their independence. If you ask anybody, well, what's in Amilcar Cabral, then go say, oh, now be agricultural engineer. So how come this same agricultural engineer ended up write books of poetry? He was an intellectual, he was a political revolutionary, and he was a war strategist. He was many things. But now agriculture, his degree was in agricultural engineering. Bai Bureh, not the same. You can't just say, oh, he was a warrior. That's diminishing him, reducing him to just that. And as you say, the song, which is quite derogatory, when most of we learn and they force we are in name, it reduces him to that. But the man was many things. He was somebody who cared for his people. He was somebody who taught his people about, look, he said, if this war get for long, let we gather we food stuff. So in case we're in it for the long run, we'll go get, well, the British, they had superior firearms. So they were able to destroy all the, stockades where, Usadami don't keep food and then kind of thing. And he was somebody where he reached out, and this is the thing, he reached out against, across the nation, then the tribes, then which some people will say, he gets people from different tribes then for come together for resist, to the extent
that's because when somebody talk of warrior all the time, it's like we wouldn't call, we say say tribe. We use the word just tribe.
Yes.
It always is something small, and waiting they notice is that whenever they refer to we in many occasions, it's either a tribe or it's a hut or but nothing you know talk of nothing of grandeur, for example.
No.
So Patrice, I know say yourself, of course, don't read quite a little bit much more about Bai Bureh over throughout this time. I wonder what's your opinion on this whole thing about Bai Bureh and a warrior.
Well, he trained as a warrior in the sort of Port Locust district.
Yeah.
And it would be, I'm still researching really. So what was it like to train as a warrior? Because we know Sena being warrior, but I'm finding it very interesting for go deeper, for find out the actual kind of life where people then may they live, right? Within them in the plant, within the economic situation be talent, before which man can save. You understand? And then while which man did it, what were they doing? So if in a warrior, how did he train? What did it actually mean for be warrior? I not go that side, but these are questions that we must ask ourselves, because it speaks to the fact that the society at that time was highly organized. They may get their own ways, very developed ways of doing things, whether by trading, barter. They had their chiefdoms, they had their systems of governance, you know. So that was one. He was also a Muslim cleric, which might speak to the idea of Bai Bureh pulling ethics, his sense of right and wrong, right? That's now other thing where I find out, but I'll be Muslim cleric. The other thing is Bai Bureh was a great negotiator. He be know how for talk to different kind man them, you know, talk to the different nationhood and all like for use tribe, nationhoods them. Talk to the Mendes, talk to the different people then, Shabro, different, for bring people then together. And another thing, he was a great diplomat, right? He be able to size up a situation, because for instance, he never dealt with the colony. I mean, really, it might take too long right now, but I advise all we listen at them. We would talk about Saloon, and we would talk about Bai Bureh and all the other great man them, woman them, for try to understand how Saloon become Saloon. Go all the way back to when the colony was founded, and when which man decides, see, we forget protectorate. It's important that every Sierra Leonean completely and totally understand the forces and the political and economic and outside influence in how Saloon becomes Saloon. That's very important, because when we talk about Bai Bureh and the hot tax war, that is the context in which it's happening. And we should look at these lives in the wider context, the cultural context, the economic context, the political context. It should not, we not for look Bai Bureh as an isolated sort of, I don't know, myth or whatever. Of course, the man exists, and he was a great leader. The other thing, he was just a leader, a great leader. Yeah. You know, he was also a family man. And like I said, I think we'll forget part 4, because this week I was hoping to go deeper into the actual sort of the man himself and the society he lived in, for really bring out what exactly Bai Bureh was defending against. Why did he put up such a stand? Because some of the interference from the outsiders, he actually tolerated, right? He tolerated it, but now when this hot tax one, I say, don't pass SmackDown.
Well, you know something, Mr. Daramy, Mr. Patrice, just the way when I do explain things, so just reminds me now of a particular story where generally we fumble and know, myself and where I've been small, we all know this story. But I think when a story where we all don't listen to, but we know something in the, we just listen to them, especially we African people, we listen to this story, but we don't know some of the intertones span this story. I mean, only about 2-3 years ago, now I actually begin to understand this story. And I want to share this story with people very quickly and share it with Una. And hopefully, so then based on this story, we will begin dig a little bit more on and show more light on some of these things than we Patrice really talk about. So, and this idea, I call it the giant within. But the story actually, now Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm sure we all know that story, the Jack and the Beanstalk. And I'm sure my family will listen to this right now. Plenty of people know this story, Jack and the Beanstalk. I just want to quickly tell this story also. Quickly, just remind listeners about this story. Number one, this boy also named Jack. Hey, mama. Them poor, them popolipo. So the mommy, they don't get nothing for it now. The mommy give Jack cow. Now I say, do a Jack go sell this cow? Now the Jack go As Jack they go for go sell the cow, he meets one panner road. This old panner, they take this person say, boy, he say, give me this cow, boy, I take this magic binge. So he give the bobo the magic binge, the nine the pie, he take the cow. So he go. So when he don't go now, the bobo go now also with the cow, the binge, guy, I go now to the binge. The mommy vex, he take the binge to where to where outside the window. He send Jack, make Jack go sleep. Jack sleep. When Jack grab early morning, he look outside the window, that they see this binge don't go all the way up, all the way to the sky. Well, Jack, curious bobo, he climb up the tick, he go up na the sky. Where he go now, they go in, he see baby castle up na the sky. Who's them Babala castle this way as so? Now he go inside. When he go inside, he see the golden, he see fall where they lay golden egg. Fall, he lay golden egg. Not only that, they see this harp, this like a cora, but they call a harp by English. This thing here so na gold all over. Now they one he go meet one mommy. He happen say this mommy also. Now the wife of the post we get the castle. Now the mommy say, "Eh, Bobo say come on." Bobo say angry. So the mommy he feed this Jack Bobo also. We don't feed and don't find one. Now I tell her say, "Hey, me man." He say, "Me man me man na giant." He say, "Now the way I no go and see you now." Well, in not to tell that the giant come. As the giant boss, the woman I eyed Jack. Now the giant say, he said, "Fee 544, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he dead or be alive, I will grind his bones to make my bread." And the woman say in Webster, he said, "Body a big bull left and can't talk so, but who's supposed to don't care so? This is your business so. You know, as you don't come out track numbers, always you kind of problem right here for come bring now. Nobody nothing at the house. This woman, I feel sorry for the boy. They protect the bobo. The giant sido, they pa mondo in casada leaf, the mondo in fufu, the mondo in chokoto yokoto, they pa mondo better one. And they smell this strange smell again. I said, he said, "Yebu." He said, "Fee 544, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he dead or be alive, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." And then Yebu said, "Budia big bolu no can talk that." He said, "Left." He said, "Nobody no can I ask." So the giant go sleep. As he go sleep, where Jack come out now na net. Now the Jack, he take the fall where they lay the golden egg. He take the harp. He begin for run. As they run, now they this harp, he begin for sing. Now the giant wake up. He say, "Hey, Chief man don't broke his time. Now that is, the giant wake come out. He take him big tick. He take him big tick. Now they see the body they run. He run outside the body. He run outside. For make it catch a lay pull in gold. Wait, this body don't take. The body go down one tick with these giants. Now one day see na in compound. As he go down, now the giant say one for falla. They will call him mama, then cut the tick down, the giant for down, he die. So me fumble there. The question where I get from this first part of this story now this. When you listen to this story for the first time, you may remember where you been small, for the one part where you read this story be small. Who that you been get sorry at for? I bet you for say the sorry at, you been get them for Jack. Of course, because Jack na poor bobo, he small, he angry, he calm. Then this giant one for can grain in bone for make bread. Who's kind cannibal giant this? So also for Jack. But now I want to tell this story from the giant's own point of view. Me na giants. One day I don't come a walk. And me when you see so a giant, I'm not afraid for walk. I get me castle, if it's way babala. I get me gold, I get all kinds of the inside there. Me we're fine. Anytime they come, me where they cook for me, I eat finally, don't sleep. Me life fine. One day I can't host no more. I didn't eat cassava leaf. But the smell where I give for smell, not like a cassava leaf smell. I smell like I say somebody else in this house. So we know the host feel different. Ask me where say, "Abu, no worry, bo." Nobody no can also. Well, I think I'm fine with I believe her. So I go sleep. Where I sleep, now they are hearing inside news. Why I grab, why check number now? Bio na alarm for say somebody don't come book inside news for thief. Me gold where I get. Where I chase food that I see. Now some king bobo na see it run. It go with me gold. Me say I fall like I'm behind for catch up. That they I see this tick where no one day in my compound. The bobo they go down the tick. Me say I claim the tick. I begin for go down. As I go down and then cut the tick. I for down. Boop. I eat made. I knock made by one stone. I am stone. Now they are die. So God. Now the word because apparently the giant is telling story during wake up and judgment. So now the question, when we look this story this way, who that now we feel sorry for? I bet plenty of una go say na the giants now we feel sorry for. Then the question now is, who that na Jack? Who that na Jack? It turned out for me to say, when I sit down while when I think me fumble and I go, say, Jack, not thief man. But who's kind thief man? Well, the giant talk and bang. He said, if I come, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Well, not to me right more. Now what's in English? Now then right say. Well, now the right say then na Jack. So at the end of the day, then we accept and so say na so it be. For say Jack, and of course Jack not come out Kabombo, he not come out Matotoka. Jack na England he come out. But the story they declare it. Then who that na the giants? We find out say the giants actually na me and you na Africa. How do we know that? Now we get the gold, now we get the diamond, now we get plenty of the resources them like that, where then they can take from or then they can take from. So now the question, how come we no say we not giants? How come we not understand this giant status? And who that not these giants? What are the characteristics of these giants? Now this I want for make we take them for understand today. We'll look at this story of Bai Bureh. Whose other giants they will we get? Whose characteristics they will we get as Sierra Leoneans them or as African people? We identify we as giants because Jack then self don't tell we say we na giants. So, Patrice, now you na actor, performer, entertainer, writer, everything. You na the person way I want for to read this first question to looking into the context of Bai Bureh. What kind of giants, as it already begin for explain, but also how come would they miss these giants? Fumble them if you want to make phone call 0794614139. Again, 0794614139. Una can phone in and you una ask questions to me guess them or una give una your contributions to this particular topic, the giant within. So, Mr. Patrice Naimbana.
Well, that's a very, very fine story. I don't know who that can bring that story. Who that writes that story?
You mean the original story?
Yes.
Actually, a good question. I don't know. I never check at all. Actually, no.
But now you grandma will give that story there. Now your ancestor that story could come out.
No, definitely not today come out. Now it's one story that one day.
Oh, so I really enjoy the way you put focus on the giant because nobody know like then they can't cipher. I like who that day we like then can I use you don't work or you whatever you get then can't thief you draws or they can't thief you trusses or they can't thief you yabas or whatever. Not to find thing, you know. So, but as a storyteller, if I want to look that story, like what you ask, what happened to the giant?
Yes, the question is how come, you know, we know this about this giant in the light way I explained so. Where we think of the giant, people they think of the giant for saying a monster, for saying a cannibal, and so on. And they put that in the light side.
Sometimes,
yeah.
I don't know. I will get for look into them because sometimes the person will pull that story there. Sometimes sometimes na Jack in fumble them.
Well, actually, I just to get a message. I don't know. No? I just to get a message for say the person we write this story, Stephen Kellogg, now the author, Stephen Kellogg, now the author of this story. So of course, it's an English person who wrote this story.
All right. Well,
it's disputed, but we won't go into that. But
it's disputed.
I go talk anyway.
Okay, well, okay, Mr. Daramy, you talk. No, make I hear Mr. Daramy. Make I hear Mr. Daramy. Hold on.
The story started, and it had several types of the way it was told, deliberately. And then certain people then started putting it into, I'm actually looking at something which explains here that actually in the initial tale, they tried to justify it by rewriting it to claim that the giant had been responsible for poverty amongst the people, and that's why Jack did what he did. But in later tales, they flipped it in exactly the way that you flipped it. They said Jack should not be celebrated for his unscrupulous actions, actually, and that in fact he is the real villain of the piece. It says here that the first time it was written down was in 1807 by somebody called Henry Cole, publishing under the pen name Felix Summerlee. And then later on by Joseph Jacobs, who in 1890. But all of them said that it was a folk tale that was told orally throughout England, and that they then started, people then started writing it and rewriting it because they had to justify this quite brutal killing of. There's a whole series of. There are even books about it, saying that in fact they should not celebrate Jack in the way that he had been celebrated for millennia, because as you rightly say, he is the villain.
Well, Mr. Daramy, but this is exactly the point now, because when we're talking of Bai Bureh, and when we're talking of many Sierra Leonean heroes, African heroes that we are studying today, so looking at why is it, for example, we only know this one-sided story of Bai Bureh? That's, for me, is a question. Because we see, and lots of young people today in Sierra Leone, like I say, only see Bai Bureh as a warrior. You understand? In other words, yes, we are not seeing the giants.
And in that, those are difficult question for answer. Because people like me, we go school now, Salon from 1960 to 1970.
Yes.
When we be in the land, actually, we learn the names of all the British kings and queens. We're not been learn nothing, but we young people until later on. They begin talk as if now when slavery came and freed slaves come and found freedom. So they're not going to teach you that. So they're going to teach them from their own perspective. So now because of that, make we don't know. And somebody like Bai Bureh, we don't fetch them. And not to Bai Bureh no more. I mean, to me, when I can hear this with the talk about Bai Bureh, this, that, I don't know if I don't hear about Haidara Kontofili.
Yes, Haidara Kontofili, exactly.
Okay, Haidara Kontofili, he was 8 years old, the time when they exiled Bai Bureh. And yet in 1913, when he decided for rise up against the British, he was born in Cambia. British like to keep record. He was born in Cambia. In 1913, when he rose up against the British in northern province of Salon, you can still find the letter where he writes. You know what? The second thing, the first thing we talk, he said them for turn away from Christianity, turn to Islam. The second thing we talk by a letter to the British, he say, I did tell them people let them left for pay on a hot tax.
Wow.
Yes. You can find and go to National Archives. He did it. So Bai Bureh don't inspire people.
Yeah.
Even at that age day.
Yes.
For say, let we resist. And the right thing now you talk. The giant within now we, because Bai Bureh inspire people from them. Tangens, them, not to today, it begin inspire people. But now the people that we rule with, we give with this language and now they talk most of the time, this English. Now them being they write this story. So they're not going to make somebody like Bai Bureh a hero. They get for make a villain. Just like in the Jack and the Beanstalk. Now Jack, now we grow up as the hero. But we'll begin get sense. Good one. We say, no, this is not a bad thing we do. But this Mabia, he protect you, he hide you. Then you go kill him, man. Then we they celebrate you. This kind of nonsense that.
Absolutely.
So all that get for change. So sorry, Patrice, we are jumping there, but I mean
No. I've been done tell USIFU that we forgive Boku cricket ball to our day today.
No, but now, okay, Patrice.
Yeah, for come to your point.
Yes.
That was good. We needed that background. And
okay, there's a Patrice, there's a caller online.
Right.
There's a caller online. Yes, we're ready to take the caller online, please. Hello?
Yeah.
There's a caller online?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, hello. Yeah, go on. What are they called?
I'll call from London.
Yes.
Mina Usponte.
Okay, thank
Hello?
you. Thank you for calling.
Is it me? Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Yusuf?
Yes, yes, I listen to you.
There you.
Yeah, I want to tell you thank you for this program, because I don't follow now, but most of it are late. You know, I'm so happy because I want to know more about Bai Bureh. You know, because being a Poloko district man from Losara Komot, and Bai Bureh, I don't know if we warriors who defend people there. So I want to know more about them. So the question now I ask is that people can talk, say the team people and betray Bai Bureh. So I want to know, I'll let clarify that thing to me today, if that's true, no real history. Then two again, I want to know Bai Bureh real identity. So people they say na Timni, so they say na local. So all the things I want to know. So I make a call today for get this idea from Mona. And I want to know back if Bai Bureh and Mikera gonna Ghana, if you been come back na salon for can continue for rule in people there. So then questions I ask.
Yes.
Thank you. Very good question. Panelists, I don't know if I'm coming for Patrice. You want to come in? Or
I will just give the summary, then I go give it.
Yeah, Patrice, please. Okay.
Yes. Now, Bintimini man, he came back to Ghana, came back to Sierra Leone, and the British highly respected him. Right? The way the war done, then capture Bai Bureh surrender. So say then capture himself. He give himself up because he not be want in people there for suffer pass mark, because now in people them make it start the insurrection against the British because the advantage be done pass mark, and he gave the British hell. That must be said. Bai Bureh have a serious giant. The British army at that time was a giant in the world. Then they go outside, take advantage, Bambaku people, they're all over the world. They're not be able to Bai Bureh. Say, they go begin burn the food supplies to the village there, where they protect them. And then the people in another village, they begin suffer. Nice, okay. So anyway, then kill the 96 soldier man there, will be Bai Bureh man them. Top ninja them. And kill them. They left Bai Bureh, go Ghana then and come back na saloon. And he was allowed to live in you know, like they unmolested really because of the respect. So what was the other question again?
It's if they betray him.
Yeah.
I'll leave you for filling the gaps at the end, answer that particular one because it's a bit controversial.
Yeah, I mean, the question of whether they betray him, I think the blunt answer is no. And I'll tell you why I say no bluntly. I mean, people used to dance, they dance around this question first time. Say, oh, well, then betray him, they're not betray him. And not to say them betray him as such. What happened is, Bai Bureh begin here, say some of the one that we've been done talk, say them go battle and this, let them fight the British. When they see the firepower where the British get, when they see them don't begin destroy food stuff and stockade inside and don't put food stuff for eating, they begin afraid. So some of them begin say, me I not mix so. So one of the place them where he say them be one cut boy Komobiena was Panguma. So Bai Bureh send in people and let them go surround Panguma. They say if una want Komobiena myself, at least let una not able to join with the British then for fight against me. So when the British then hear that, they actually send troops, over 300 troops, for let them go relieve Panguma and make the people then release. So people then begin come up here now because look, when you get their small gun, you see man they come with cannon, you see man they come with gun where you know one day see when they make boom, it broke one of us. He must afraid. So some of them begin afraid, they begin come up here now, they begin say, me I've been support, but I not support again. No. So not to for say them betrayal, but plenty of them women don't talk, say, yes, let's fight this thing an advantage. They begin talk, say, an advantage for me, and I will. So they begin slide away. So now that's really, people then begin left for supporter. say in the end, as Patrice say, he talks say, well, no, this let people not can die unnecessarily. Make a surrender. And you know, that just quickly, not to in one grain. Yesterday I posted on Facebook about King Prempre. And the same thing King Prempre do in Ghana. When he realized it and don't surround it, the third Ashanti War, because the Ashanti they refused to make the British and subdue them. The third Ashanti War, 1896. King Prempre said, you know what? Let me surrender rather than the people that can kill me. One whole nation. And he surrendered, he go into exile. And at the picture I put where they on board the ship, we can go Seychelles. So not to Bai Bureh one grain, plenty of we leader then, and that make we respect them today, and other make we for respect them. Because rather than they see bloodshed, unnecessary killing and dying, they say, you know what, let them take me one. Once when I give me an award, say, this is the killing they done, I surrender.
And
so that's big.
Yes, and that's what makes a great leader, right? Now, what's very, very important to understand that a great leader is concerned about his people. And Bai Bureh, King Prempre, Toussaint Louverture, many Africans throughout the diaspora will be the first advantage. They did that. The British at that time, they had the superior firepower and they had subdued a lot of the world, Seth. But what is the lesson that we should take is that even when Bai Bureh had been arrested and they were exiled, Bai Bureh never bowed to the British. The record then did. You know the answer, Seth. It's him up bent. When all the other at the trial, the records then did. Where the judge they say, and you, what do you have to say about this? Then they say the answer. Then they say yes, sir. When it comes to Bai Bureh refused to say yes, sir. He just say yes. Say die. He refused to accept that somebody for come on another country can make Kakatoa na his own country. He refused. So that is the spirit of Bai Bureh. And that is the spirit that should inspire us like today. Now the context has changed. There is no reason why we cannot get gone or defend ourselves. As USIFU talk, the giants now ain't get the gold. We get gold, we get uranium, we get all things we necessary for defend ourselves. Let it like that not ever be again. So if you look inside the spirit of Bai Bureh and other great men like Lamina Sanko, we found the SLPP. Lamina, if I can just quickly go on to another giant, right?
Yes,
Lamina
please, go ahead.
Sanko, he born Etheldred Nathaniel Jones, ethnic Creole parents. Now Gloucester, he was a priest, a philosopher, educationalist. He taught logic. He go Oxford. He teach in America, but he changed his name to Lamina Sanko as a unifying gesture or symbol for say we are all Sierra Leoneans. Never mind Mina Creole or whatever. He changed his name to Lamina Sanko. Now that make Trelawney Street. It used to be Trelawney Street and change that opposite law court in Freetown. That name, that street then Lamina Sanko Street. That's the history behind that. Great man, giant, just like Bai Bureh. He said Sierra Leone should be united, and he changed his name as a symbol. Say no, we'll not forget no this crew countryman business. Not only that, the church, the crews were very conservative. He preached some radical sermons them inside the church. They not be like the crewman, they not be like for that, because he wanted the whole sort of church service and everything to be African. He wanted to remove as much English influence as possible, right? That is a giant, and that is a giant that has the spirit of Bai Bureh.
Wow.
One of the most famous one the way he preach, but Patrice just take it up a bit. Is only 1 minute. He talks say, if we want to say we are African, he say make we woman and they go church, then wear temle and lapa instead of them dress like say they're English woman.
Yes.
All those years ago, he talk.
Yes.
But even 30 days, woman and they go church wear temle and lapa.
Yes, and that is the very good point. Very good point. But that is the founder of the SLPP, by the way. If we now know, if we now make comparative insights into the giants the way we get, what we should be asking now: do we have giants now? Who are the giants now? That is the if you ask, which we will pull from the story of the Jack and the Beanstalk, which we will pull from the story of Bai Bureh. Where is that spirit now? Today, is it in the young? Is it in the leadership? I'm sure it exists. I'm not going to be cynical and say it doesn't exist. But the reason why we look history, now for see waiting we can learn. And if we're not prepared for learn from history, then the thing that we've been in the past, it can be back. It might not be the Englishman. Sometimes Jack, now other nation he come out. We'll not call name today. It could be some other nation. Right? So that's what we should be asking ourselves as Sierra Leoneans. Are we going to learn? Are we prepared to ethically evolve? Because there's story I will pull here about Bai Bureh. We're not the inventor. Nothing will be. And we want to encourage you now. Make una self go investigate. Because are they now investigate to investigate? USIFU now investigate to go investigate. There's nothing to stop any Sierra Leonean or any African for go investigate. If you're a Christian, your Bible says test every spirit. If God said him up front you, say me na God, test them. There's nothing, you can be blind, you go, the information they can braille. Go and check. Educate yourself. They're not teaching at school. Go learn. We just they give you the encouragement no more. But these men existed, and men and women too. And they stood for Sierra Leone, and they stood for Salone better one. And they did not allow advantage, then decolonize their mind. The idea then we know the help we for go before they pull them. They say the good part of we culture, now for keep, and if for be all man for share the gold. Not so possible for come yonder, they can't take, care and go, then we they suffer. That does not make sense. And the giants of Sierra Leone, they stood for their families, they stood for the land, and they stood for them one way they can be earned.
You know, Patrice, you couldn't have put it even more so brilliantly in terms of looking at how they look, the history where we get in Sierra Leone, and then look this history in contemporary light, nowadays light, today light. Now, a lot of questions away, a lot of young people, and they ask me all over all the time about when they talk of Sierra Leone culture. You know, Mr. Jalloh, you know the culture man, our footprints. Now you know the culture man. We want to learn more about we culture. And what you just don't talk just so about just looking about the greatness within we culture. Because sometimes when people like to say, wait about salon culture, now drumming, dancing, you know, I don't know, they kind of think they get a very light-hearted way they think of we culture. But deep inside we culture, we get the people there, of course, like the Bible, like the Lamina Sanko, the way you mentioned. So people like this way, plenty per day, they ready for lay their life down for sacrifice. And that's probably one of the important things where you mentioned for me there, but that they're ready for sacrifice for the betterment of their generation. The point that Bai Bureh, Prempeh, and I know for say because in Ghana after Prempeh, that's when Ya Asantewaa took over. And that's another interesting story because when Prempeh don't go, Ya Asantewaa, as a woman, he step in and say, this thing not the left so. In Sierra Leone, we get Yoko. We hopefully in subsequent programs, we will take time for look at Yoko specifically as a woman and give for understand the role then way woman necessarily play in carrying the same spirit of Bai Bureh, this spirit of sacrifice and the spirit of Kumra, as we go say. But now I want to ask a question to you, Mr. Daramy. If if anything were outstanding for you about the giant that is Bai Bureh, what thing it will be for you? And what you go feel to say that thing were outstanding? What thing, how young people in today with current generation need for learn from that city for you? What thing that could be?
I think the biggest thing, not just the resistance, but the way he resists and the reason why he resists. Because if you look at it, waiting he do and waiting he been get for contend with still happen even today where we talk. You know, people that will come out Western Europe, they will come out China, then come Africa. Me get diamond. Yeah, me get diamond. If me not be Arab man, I get me oil. I go tell you the way they can say, now this you they pay for me oil, the want her. We na salon, I get me diamond, I get me gold. I say, bra, almost you want give me. That's a big difference. Because Bai Bureh no say, it's now we land. Imagine. Then people here can. Not to hear them come out. Then in the country we say, pa, we get for abide by waiting, then say. And when you look at the mentality of how them in the write but then at the British paper, then, how they write but Bai Bureh, how they write but King Prem, talk but say, then people are getting mind for resist we. You know, now I even post today on Facebook. I say them people here we don't spend 600-800 years, they invade the one whole world. Then they complain now, say people in the Kenya without passports. People then they take boats to the Kenya we land. Now fit here. Where una don't they do them for 800 years? They una say feel say una go Australia, nobody not give una passport. Una go New Zealand, nobody not give una passport. Una go America, una go Canada, almost country in Africa, una not take over. Nobody not invite una, they not give una visa, they not give una passport. Waiting we young people and get for land today is that this salon, this Africa, this West Africa, now we get on. Let we dictate the terms of waiting for being our country. Not to other man they can dictate for we. If nothing else, now dandy then get for land from Bai Bureh.
But I mean that's such a good a good advice for a lot of the young people where they come. But then there's problems. I mean here because in terms of if I go school, when I go school, the land where they land, for example, first of all, English first of all at the beginning for land. From primary school, when in a village or whatever the English language now they learn. If you left, they will come low Canada with law courts na Sierra Leone. We law courts where we get na Sierra Leone, now all na Englishman, way now we get the now the dress, now we gonna the head and all that. Yeah. How then we go turn around for tell Englishman there or any foreigner we want for come, and that's including even a lot of Lebanese then we don't come into the country, a lot of Indian then now the Chinese then where they come. You understand? If we not don't establish, I'll go tell them people there so then can they for say no now we won't place this. What you will need for make able for tell people ever say no now we get this. What in be that in the way Bai Bureh bang we make it in up so. What you making able for tin up? This is for me because I feel like if you go to a village like how you say you go meet somebody where they tell you say like how you say get the diamond say well what you go give me. How do we turn this round? What's it make people and think like this? How we turn this round?
Well, it's easy because when we think of Jamaica, the whole population of Jamaica is 2.7 million. 2.7 million. Who that did any sign of the world? We're not on hear Jamaican music. We're not on see Jamaican athletes and so on. 1962. Jamaica, the same thing where we talk about. So believe it or not, they may get any kind of problem in Jamaica. Say, that side, then people and they originally in Ghana then come out. Then people and they originally Sierra Leone. Or then people and they originally then are Yoruba. Now I make them decide in 1962, not from far away with Temu. 1962, now they say from now on, we they adopt this motto, out of many, one people. Now the national motto that out of many, one people. Now that we get for think. I don't talk on before. This whole Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, they are constructs of other people there. But now we get. So we can either discard them, say, oh, well, I don't mix, or we embrace them, say, okay, we they turn her into something. And at that then do in Jamaica in 1962. And say, you know what, team, let's left for this fed. Then get side and we get all kind of Ghana name there. You get side in Jamaica with people that they talk the raw Yoruba with them they talk 300 years ago. And then people and they keep themselves to themselves. Then they curse themselves, they diss themselves and so on. So now they say, no, this, if we want to go before as a nation in seriousness, me, Jamaica, I respect them where I not respect almost any other. Because that thing, it was a conscious decision. Say this nonsense get for left. Let you say, yes, you proud of you, whatever, but let not all we back. Let we always get in our mind, say, out of many, one people. Now that we get forget na salon. Like that youngster then get for embrace. Let's mean a mandinka. Look, myself now, the perfect example of it. Me grandpa on the daddy side na be imam. Me mama in grandpa na Bishop Johnson after where they named the school. So me na waiting. Me na Madinga, me na Creole, me na what? Me na Sierra Leonean. Now down there we get for things. Say yes, then don't put we all into this melting pot. Let we embrace and let we turn it into something positive. Just like what they do in Jamaica. Just like what they do in Cape Verde. Cape Verde, you know to ask where you go, then they tell you say we get 14 different shades of African inside the one Cape Verde. But then people and they are the most patriotic people I have ever met or ever known. Cape Verde. Nobody not near themselves.
Wow. Carry on with this same question, Mr. Patrice. I see you said Benishek, you want to say something to this?
I completely agree with Ade. You know, when we look at the history and we look at Bai Bureh, in order for make progress and move towards a better Sierra Leone, he had to reach out for unity. He had to form alliances, which, as we've heard from Ade, eventually were broken down, but only because of superior firepower, which would have brought devastation on the people. So for the younger people now, if you are going to learn from history, I think you are going to have to become superb peacemakers. And that in that time, violence could not be avoided because they don't come with violence inside your own country. You have to resist. So now, and I must say also that it was a very multifaceted narrative. For instance, it wasn't just that there were different, some of the chiefdom, then be defect because they wanted slavery to continue. Some other man them was totally on Bai Bureh's side. Some other people were dissatisfied with the heavy-handedness of the frontier police force, which was the force them way the British bring come. So there are different facets to this insurrection against the revolt against the British. But Bai Bureh, your reason was this is an advantage. We know they can't pay tax. This is our now we country. This is how can pay tax now for us that way we don't build to una. No, you see. So now for the young one, them they're going to have to look at that history and other African history, other African tapestries of resistance for learn waiting work, waiting not work, and for update or upload or download the information and then find a new type of way for deal with the current situation, because we don't want war, we don't want violence. So they're going to have to be superb negotiators and peacemakers If you're not Christian, you know, say, blessed are the peacemakers, right? You're going to have to ask their questions. Is the giant still sleeping? They're going to have to ask the question, why the giants in West help Jack? We're going to have to look at it from different angles. And we're going to have a calm head, because violence really only begets violence. So that is the main challenge for the youth. I'll forget this unity and betterment of Sierra Leone without that violence. You know, I'm not saying if think camp and camp. If think camp and camp, then think camp and camp. But do we really want to go down? Do we want to repeat history? Because some violence then they, as we can see in Syria and other parts of the world, it's not a done. Violence can bring devastation for generations. Now that we want, an office.
I think.
So, yeah, go on. Sorry, was that Ade?
No. Finish your point, please. Yeah.
No, that basically is my point, because the narratives of the hot tax war are multifaceted. You see, we've looked at the spirit of Bai Bureh, but the spirit of Bai Bureh was operating in a complex, you know, a set of push and pull and so on and so forth, with the tower and this and that. You know, now we have the Chinese, we have other type of issues that we're dealing with, but we still want a united Sierra Leone. We still want.
See, now, but then Patrice, we get a situation where mentioning the wife of the giant.
Yes.
And I think that's a very important character here. If we begin for analyze the wife of the giant and wonder who that na the wife in the context of Sierra Leone. You know, easily some people would say, well, the wife naim betray a husband, naim betray the giant. It's easier said like that. I mean, I remember when you read Things Fall Apart, and you had Okonkwo who was saying, no, we must resist this. You had Oberika, who was the kind of level-headed one. But then you had the ones that they call the Efulefus, right? And the Efulefus were those that were kind of like disowned by the society, just put on the fringes. They were considered not that important in the society. And when Christianity came, when the Christian missionaries came, it was these Efulefus that they started converting, including Okonkwo's son, which was very, very devastating. And eventually that contributed to undermining the society, the Igbo society and the Nigerian society eventually. So now when we look at the context of Sierra Leone and we look at how we're going about things, I wonder who are or could be or what kind of characters of people we could consider to be that wife of that giant that kept in attitudes and ways of the way Duncan thief with gold and it prevents me from becoming strong. And they don't have and you know, it is multifaceted, of course, who can be this, but I just wonder what's your own thoughts about this?
The wife of the giant, we been feel say it sort of be kind and, you know, give Jack some side for stay and stuff like that. That wife could represent somebody with so kind-hearted that, you know, investigate the credentials of this man, not looking passport if the passport is a false passport or not. You know, check whose kind mortal man this be, where they help, right? Because even in England, bigger man they work on a treat. They car big. But if you go na house, it tap that big goes to the drive Benz. Now jab that one day for going just big and pull nothing. It's not poor, but it just, you know what I mean. So the lesson is we have to look and see who is knowingly or unknowingly selling out Sierra Leoneans and Africans. Who or what is the mentality that sells us out? Where they go can't take the giants in gold while they sleep. And anyway, why the giants when they sleep? If you're not giants, why they sleep? That's another way for look the story. Because if you're not giant, you're not supposed to sleep you're supposed to organize, you're supposed to get CCTV camera, for don't put you sentry them, then all can't thief you oyster, can't thief you silver, can't thief you rutile, can't take all thing go. No, what is that? God give we that for make we dispense to the world. Can't anybody see that? Can't you see that? In fact, 10 been day, not so we be me and you been do one play named Blood of a Stranger by Dele Charlie. Where the giant in that particular play day, named Blood of a Stranger, the stranger come and the stranger go to one per we. In name Maligu for go talk to the chief for ask the chief say if we can't build hospital for una make we go allow we for let go dig naya and pull all the diamond. But the point is before the stranger come, we not be put value on diamond. We had other things that we put value on. Family, spirituality, other things them we put value on. You see? But one or two of us sold us out. That's what happened. And are we going to learn from history and stop selling each other out? It's as simple and as blunt. I'm sorry. I know say we'll talk is a bonus conversation. Are we going to be doing that? Because at the end of the day, which man not be for able for can't do it to do. Unless some of us have decided that it was okay for him to do it. Simple. Let's just accept that.
But then somebody will ask another question.
Yes.
Say, well, if we take things fall apart, I go again to things fall apart on how then go say, well, certain aspects of we customs or we cultures or traditions were such that it allow for make people like come let's say for example say some people are going to say, well, we get a culture of slavery before, or we get witchcrafts before, or we get as in things fall apart, so they get the fools the way they're not being they were considered less people and so on. So maybe is it that we get aspects of we culture, of we belief systems them where we probably hold before that maybe we need for revisit, or is it that we just get for say, look, this now we belief system, like it or not? Mr. Daramy, I wonder what you think about Patrice.
Yeah.
If you are looking, if the purpose of full story and looking at history is for learning, right? Then all those questions that you asked very validly, we have to look in the history, and this history not to foreseen 500 years ago. That is not to 1988. 1998? 1898. That was just like 22 years before me papa born. So it's not that long ago, right? For answer your question, let me look what don't happen. Let me just look at what 50 years ago. Let me look what happened 10 years ago. Let me look at what happened 15 years ago. We go see this pattern of where whether is it something about on country or is it just bad art? Is it that? Is it that we not like we say? Could be. It's a combination of a lot of things, of course. And also the other thing we must look at is that when something has happened, it's a cycle as well, right? So it's a way. There's a way of doing things now, right? Which actually is affecting most countries in the world. Most countries in the world have conflict, have elites where they take advantage over ordinary people, and they suffer, etc., etc. But I feel that we should, if I was 19 or 20, I'd ask myself then kind of question, but why things then did the way they did? That's the first question. Then get together, talk peacefully. Let's look at other countries as well. Look at Cape Verde. Why then they go before? Why then they go before? Because they are looking at they look at themselves and they have pride in themselves. They have pride in their culture. Then like themselves. You see? So then you look at your own culture and say, well, can we learn from that? No, actually, we're similar in this way, we're similar in this way, we're similar in this way. Japanese, Japan. Which man go drop bomb, atomic bomb for that country day? 2, they're not afraid God. Drop the bomb. Within about 46 or so years or so, that country grows up economically.
Of
They
course.
never let go of their own culture. But then look wetin good pan the Western culture, then take wetin good and then reject wetin no be the work for them. They rejected it outright, right? But then they also had pride on their own ways of doing things. You know what I mean? So, in answer to your question, Yusufu, that's a similar process. I don't know if the mosquito this. Anyway, in a similar process, now we self get for do, and I believe some of us are doing it. Writers, even some people in government, I'm sure. Let us not just dismiss the government. I'm sure individuals in different teachers are doing that. I think we have to start learning to listen to one another. The young ones, listen to the elders. Elders, make yourself available for talk to the young ones. Let this communication be clean and clear so that the question the way you ask Yusufu, we begin to get inner resources, mental resources, spiritual resources for answer these questions in an honest way. If there are things in our culture where they allow stranger for come, or not just even stranger, sometimes we ourselves are not being nice to ourselves. We must be honest about that, and then try to pass those values on to a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old born, a 1-year-old now today in Sierra Leone, they should be able to look around and already see some of these positive things, role models. So then go get a consciousness of how for sort of look the country, look the company Saluma. It's got to start from the very, very, very young.
Patrice, with saying that, and I go probably throw this as well too, Mr. Daramy, this time, but I want to look at just something that happened just yesterday, and this, as I say, bringing all of these spirits into the contemporary, into now, all right? We don't have to necessarily elaborate on this, but I just want to bring them in as an example of looking at this very, the idea of the wife, the idea of those who, quote unquote, say, went ahead and fought against Bai Bureh, because there were lots of Sierra Leoneans who were part of this British army that went to fight against Bai Bureh. Now, just yesterday, for example, there's an audio that went out from one person from our current government in Sierra Leone, where suddenly put out for say, if anybody come out for this, for that, then go kill them parents and kill the leadership, like blatantly speaking like this. Now, when somebody talk like this, currently now in Sierra Leone, I wonder then, if Bai Bureh been there now, I wonder what thing will be in attitude towards this. You understand? Because if we talk of the spirit of Bai Bureh, one thing we don't talk about is that spirit of sacrifice for the betterment of our country. The spirit of Osile, we get together as one. How would we protect we own integrity? So when me, for example, now somebody with the part of we current government in Sierra Leone, they talk about how if anybody come out not it, then go, not only do they go bring all kind of disaster, and these were my words, these are the words, like disaster, calamity, pandemic, then family, then this, then that. Then I begin for wonder, boy, who's how don't miss the mark now, so? Who's how don't miss the mark? Then waiting Bai Bureh fight for. Mr. Daramy, I just want to lay you through light on this for me. You know.
Yes, I will first deal quickly with the question about how was it that they were able to infiltrate and so on. If you look at West Africa, the first European that we came, have been the Portuguese. For the first 70 years, 70 years of the Portuguese came West Africa before any Englishman came. Now trade them in the trade. You know, then John Bulliard and like keep record. So if you go to the archives in Oporto, in Portugal, you go Lisbon, you go Sintra. Let them translate them for you. It's in English and it's in Portuguese. You know what in them they go salon for? For ivory, because we get plenty elephant. And according to them, and this is a direct quote, They said the people of that region were the best in carving ivory anywhere in the world. Where Portuguese man talk that in 14 almost, no say them one then have been the navigator there, then go China, then go America, then go all side. Where then talk say in the world. No say no to idle talk then talk. So they not go there for slavery. But you know what in Ambogui? And I taught this once now in English school, there was opera. I say we now the most kind-hearted, welcoming people then. We get good at. You know, there was a time when we've been to study, and this is all relevant, we've been to study film history. Immediately after the Second World War, say from World War II done 1945, from 1950 to 1962, there were a whole lot of science fiction films about invasion from other planets. And just make you see the mentality. In every one of those films, it was about invasion, about now their own psyche is what they were playing. If now we black man be right there film then they, not to so we've been for writing. You know, so we welcome them. We had traded with them. They're not Kanya initially with the aim say, oh, no, we can't enslave them people, yeah? No. Then begin as trade for the first 70 years. They not take one slave from that West African, what they call the whole coast, the coast of Guinea. It included Sierra Leone all the way down to Ghana. They don't care one slave. Now later on, now in this slavery business, because you know, we don't use for trade with them, we don't use for labor with them, we don't use for even learn some of their language, then learn some of we own them, for make them go able with itself. You know? So we welcome them. And that was our downfall. We know to suspicious people, even up to now. Even up to now, we are not. But what you therefore say to people is like when we are welcoming these other people, let's just be circumspect. I not say be suspicious, be wicked, attack them or anything. Just get you antenna. Not to always smile to you. Can do you good. Not to always smile to you, can do you good. So always get that in mind. And deal with them on that basis there. Say, you know what, you will come to my country, okay, I welcome you, but limitation there. No can take advantage because they're good pan for take advantage. That's make half the world they speak English.
Mr. Daramy, yes, speak up, please. Speak loud, please, caller. Say your name. Yes, thank you. Now that they call?
I call now Usman Conte call.
Thank you, Usman Conte. Nice for getting you on this program. Yeah,
thank you, Mr. Yusuf. I just want to give it small from Bai Bureh's side. I want to ask for this. We chiefs who been getting a free time, like the likes of King Parkington, the likes of King Naimbana, the likes of Pademba, because I understand say their chiefs and the in governance in the Western area before even the county, the crews. So I will let the panelists and tell you small about them, and the Parkington, Naimbana, them Pademba, all them panelists. So I will let a small idea about the people. Yeah.
Okay, now big question now you ask so because we actually want to go through as many of them as possible, and I know for say the panelists and so we all definitely think for go through their names then they as in subsequent programs, but definitely we would see which light we will go through on that one then day for now. But we hope that in the next programs that we will do, we will be examining them people and they again.
Get some please.
Okay, let me just keep a very brief one. All of the one that you mentioned, all of the one that you mentioned, where you see even they call them, they don't call them chief, they call them king. All of them been there in that area there. And what they do when the British come, even Freetown itself, they're not just kind of taker. They actually decide say, let we pay for this land, they will go settle them people here, what will they bring. So now, so then begin pay. They actually sign treaty them. You can actually fend some of the treaties them. And then do the same thing I asked on Nagambe. In fact, Nagambe, they don't fend all the treaty them. We then sign with the local chiefdom and the local kingdom. And we don't even task somebody or do the same na Salon because they all day, the records they, as I keep saying, they lack for keep records. All the records they of every single treaty we then sign with every one of them kingdom they, you can fend them. I mean, now we no more, as Yusuf will say, we won't go through all of them. So when the person who I give the job for do, it tells me say, I plenty work. So I don't tell and say, myself, I will do a myself. Because I don't like people begin to tell me, this not. Now the last thing that you can tell me, this is difficult. I don't like it that one day. I go find them all, and we go publish them. Let people then see, waiting at the deal we then do with them. Because all of them then go, then get interpreter, when they interpret to the local king, waiting exactly there, then put thumbprint or say, yes, I agree, or then put the X and then put the thumbprint, say, yes, I agree to this. So all them and then they make deal with them for buy different land. Now, so then acquire different land, when they can settle now, then say, you know, it's this country fine. That will take over the one whole country.
Exactly.
They talk about hospitality, I think a damage way. That will take care.
Patrice.
Yeah.
I don't say you want to say something here, but I just want for Rob more small on waiting, Mr. Daramy don't say. Now, Mr. Usman, I don't say you are hearing this, but maybe we can maybe we could just make a deal with me, guess them now. So for subsequent programs we get for come when we get for begin deal with specifically with Naimbana, King Jimmy and King Tom specifically, what is the important kings them. But of course, just like how you mentioned, Haidara Kontofili as well. These all are names that we really want to go into. And what we want to do with them, Mr. Usman, is that we want to look at them and they look at the eye of the spirit of Bai Bureh within all of these people, or if spirit of Bai Bureh not even there by any of them. Because like how we talk of the giant in story, the wealth in there, but the wealth now, I guess now what Mr. Daramy mentioned so right now, we get that Soriat Pawi. We get that all embracing spirit Pawi as African people. We embrace all things. And now, because the issue of land now big issue. When the British they want for go take Bai Bureh in place, they not put us then they go take over the place, but then they say now for go put tax on the huts. Well, if anybody understand what's in a tax, you gonna understand say tax. Now for tell you say not till you get that property there anymore. Because if they put tax, you're supposed to pay. If you not pay, then they come for your property. Inevitably, now you land, then they come for. And I want to advise anybody as well, while we talk on this issue of land, where Bai Bureh fed for so much, and where King Jimmy themselves be involved by the King Tom, they all involved on the issue of land. And today, not Sierra Leone, land na big issue again with the fed for up till today. So, I just want for advise anybody, if you're able, please watch a film we then call The Founder. That's what it's called, The Founder. Anybody who just watch that film, they just fully will be for understand the concept of land. So, what I want to say is this. From my own study, is that the European concept of land, now me get this land, now me at the claimant, at the owner. Then Patrice, you throw a word to me during the last discussion.
Terra nullius.
Terra nullius. Again, my people, if you know one day you get this word, you now go dig up this word. Terra nullius, spelled TerraNullius.
Yes, terra nullius. Basically, when which man go Australia, the people them we've been there in Australia, which then they call Aboriginal now, but they get their own nationhood, boku. It wasn't just anyway. Then go and welcome them, etc., etc. Next thing, they just kapu the ground, the right constitution. Say now then get the and terra nullius. Now the concept of terra means earth in Latin, nullius mean nothing. So in other words, they say nothing up in the so therefore that they own. But of course they meet people there. But I want us to really, because we seem for the link, pan the Whitman and the European, which of course we have to, because they are intertwined in our history. We cannot pretend they did not exist. You know what I mean? But the solutions and the ways forward and how we are looking at that history, how we free we self, how we manage that history there for shed light span, good ways forward, peaceful ways forward is very important. And it's very necessary. And I want to thank Mr. Usman for that question there. Now, very, very good question. But as Brad say, because we not just want to be simplistic about this thing, we just want to make it simple. We dey go find the paper them. We them man and they engage with them man and they sign. We dey go find them. We can show. I think say they get for be part 4 now. There's no way now we're not going to do part 4, because it seems to me that a lot of Sierra Leoneans, they don't know. So we want to make this conversation, but talk don't bring other talk. You don't call 3 name them. And we want for shed light and then name them they. And those guys then get paper. We go show you. So we're going to show you, and we can put up on the screen. So you yourself go see them. Then you yourself go check and investigate. Thank you, Mr. Usman. Una don't give we work now. And we are, as Sierra Leoneans, we were for 6 Salongo before. If that's what it's going to take, we can't do it. None of us will not get money for nothing, so we will get paid or anything. Nothing. This now out of love. Love for saloon. Now we do it. And we're going to do this. We're going to show you. We're going to find anything, and by God in power, we're going to find out in the next 2 weeks. We can show you. And now one other thing, Mr. Usman. You mentioned when the Creole then come. Well, when the man and they been signed treaty, there was no such thing as Creoles. They were different Africans from different parts of the diaspora. Yes, here we go again. Wait, man, then bring camp. Right? So there was no such thing as Creoles. In those early days when they say for fair colony, they were released Africans from England, released people who used to be slaves in Nova Scotia, where they go fight in the American War of Independence. They say, well, we go fight, but we want to own sign now. We don't depend slavery all day. Yeah, we want to own sign now, right? Then there were liberated Africans, because the Portuguese and the Germans and the other Whitman then made a Kapu slave them, and the British made they go gather their Africans then, but instead of taking them to outside the Whitman and pull them, right? Then can't bring them free tongue, which before we know it, then turn to colony. Before we know it, then turn to protectorate. So please, it became later as all these people gathered together. That these Africans had nowhere else to go. They just had to now try to make a life for themselves. You understand? It's very important. So there's going to be part 4 and there's going to be part 5. Because look for say, then kind of question then they una don't know the answer to. So una go know. By force, una go know. Now one little thing, just sorry for taking so much time. I want you to understand something about how them Whitman, but they look we. How them they look we, right? Of course, there were the general ideology. Now I'm reading directly from the report where they in a British Parliament in 1899. This was like a year after the Dombolo for them, where Bai Bureh Tawa. I'm going to read to you now, because they were so shocked at that Dombolo. They go for go talk in a parliament. They go for go make case in a parliament. What's happening in a saloon? All right, I'm going to read to you. Waiting the Royal Commissioner talk. He said, a certain independence and a measure of self-government to the chiefs, for which I think they are quite unfitted from their almost total want of civilization and their habits of slavery, which has been the curse of the Negro race. It will take generations to so civilize and educate them as to enable them to govern properly their own affairs. In the meantime, they need a paternal and just government to regulate and order them. This is what the people that will bring all that way they call Creole, where the Pademba and Naimbana, these are the kinds of people that they were dealing with, and this is what they had in their head. Let me read you the next paragraph. Even the most enlightened and educated Negro communities cannot be said to as yet have reached such a state of advancement as to acquit themselves under self-government. There are more than one notable failures in this respect in the world as object lessons. How much less can the untutored and uncivilized natives of the protectorate be fitted for even the partial measure of self-government, which is now recommended for them? A measure too, which if not regulated, by them obviously, and that would involve an interference with the jurisdiction of the chiefs, which is much deprecated by the royal commissioner, would reinstate the barbarous criminal code of the natives, which permits such cruelties and tortures as the ordeal of dipping the hand of the offender in boiling oil and the drinking of poison concoctions, which I've already referred to. This is not that they talk inside parliament too. These are the big alagba. They talk about Wiso inside the parliament. Now, question is, does that ring true? Is it true? Is it partially true? Are we unfitted for self-government? Have we self-governed ourselves efficiently for the betterment of our people? Are the white man right? Or are they just being racist? Is there some basis for it? These are uncomfortable questions, sorry to say. Not to me, right, Samu? Me completely believe so we are completely capable of self-government. But we have to ask ourselves, why then think that? Why then think that?
Why then think that?
When we come for show, our white man be engaged with Naimbana and all them man and they with Mr. Usman quite rightly talk, we're going to have to look at that very carefully. Because why? We want to know whether we are making the same mistakes or whether we have made progress. Sorry for going on so long, but I read this 2 days ago and I was just like, man, really? That's what I'm going to look with, really?
Well, you see,
you're not reading nothing yet.
I know. I know.
But this is one of the things we make this whole program what they do so really, really important. Because time really they catch up on us.
Yeah.
And I don't want to push we too far. It's very tiring, and also when I say don't get a long day, and we listen, they don't get a long day as well. But I want for just in looking at that question the way you asked, are we any better? Were they right in writing within the right so about we? So again, it bring that thing for say, know yourself, not to cause. Now, good advice. We need for know we self, whether from a historical the historical basis I would be there before, and we go for know we self how we there today. Now, Mr. Daramy, I wonder if you go for add any more light on this particular thing where Patrice don't bring so before we try for wrap up the program. But I don't know if any other calls want for coming again later on. But if anybody want for call or comment or anything like that, it is the Diaspora Voices. +44 794 6141 369, or you can make comments on the Facebook page. I'll read them for you. For example, Mr. Victor Lewis is saying they returned them to Freetown as captives. Okay, this is talking about the people that we were talking about earlier on, Mr. Daramy. Okay, but
yes.
Mr. Daramy, what is can you add to this?
Yes, it's interesting because what was interesting about what was said in the British Parliament is that this was said by people who had enslaved us for over 300 years and saying that slavery was innate within us. So it's quite ironic. And it's obviously, I always say this is typical of British sense of irony. that after, all those years of enslaving people, you can then say that, then people are don't use for they and slavery, and they can save them from that. And what's interesting, I know say William Wilberforce, plenty of people can criticize him, but say that man for 17 years, non-stop, every year for 17 years, if they bring a bill into parliament for make them abolish slavery, the most concession within Greek, they say, well, why don't we make the conditions on board the slave ships a bit more humane? That was as far as they were willing to go. And again, it's on Hansard. You can read it online. It's in the parliament. And those people, then people that will be the top, that they feature them, they say something good and nice. So no, let this thing, because it's such a lucrative trade. That was how they started to frame it. But
and
the
yet,
team, yes.
And yet, Mr. Daramy, these are the people, according to what Patrice just don't read to we, who are
Yes.
telling us,
Yes.
saying we're barbaric, and
Yes.
with the boil, pussy, and hot oil, and they're saying all of these things. And yet, when you turn around, you look at the records we themselves get of
Yes.
how they treat we during the slave trade. You think, what in a ogie, the laugh kinder for smell?
Well, this is it, because two of the things that they charge we for resisting were two big S things, were sedition or treason, both of which were punishable by death. So if you resist them, they catch you, and they used to do it quite commonly, then they hang people in public, not to any gallows inside prison, because they want set example, they want strike fear into we. So when they catch them, what they call disobedient chief then they hang them in public. They were hanged in public. So
Well,
I can't tell you about barbarism or any nonsense like that.
I quite agree. The British are in no position to lecture anybody.
Anybody.
They're really, and even today. But anyway, all I've seen them falling short of the glory of God, but we must share the sin around, right? And so those of us that refuse to understand what decolonization means, right? You get for decolonize you, because you don't go look up to people them. We barbaric pass you and look down on you because it just enslaves your mind. But however, I still feel that, I know we're rounding up now, and this is my last word, that we have giants among us, and we have giants yet to be born. The question for everybody living today and under the sound of my voice is, are our giants going to be stillborn? Our giants going to be born maimed? Our giants going to have proper opportunities to go to school and realize their potential? These are the questions that if you are a young person today, you have to be asking yourself if you love saloon. If you don't love saloon, then not watch the program, go watch Netflix or, Hollywood. But if you love saloon, then I believe say yourself a giant. And we should be thinking of the ones that are not born yet. We should be thinking far-sightedly. We should be thinking, what sacrifice do I have to make? Because we're not going to do it without that. And in all these struggles and resistances we don't see, in all the great examples of men and women in Sierra Leone and in Africa and around the diaspora, we try for help them company for go before. The sacrifice is an inevitability. It will not happen without that. Think of the ones who are 2, 1, the young ones coming. What sort of Sierra Leone do you want them to see when they are 10? We have to be thinking now of the ones that are coming, so that we can start raising a different type of consciousness. Consciousness of victory, not the consciousness of blaming Whitman. Because they are quite secondary, actually. They should not occupy a scintilla of your soul, what the white man thinks or what he does not think. We know what he thinks. Just look, I don't read. We know what he thinks. Even Boris Johnson today, like today, we know what he thinks. So that you should not waste your time on that. Just know the threat, but also who might be coming again, who's other jack, then they can't thief with gold, right? And concentrate on us and our ability to really self-govern for the betterment of the future generations and our neighboring countries, the neighboring African countries. We have to look to each other now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrice. Thank you so much. Mr. Daramy, what are your closing remarks?
Yes, my closing remarks, brief. We talk about the giant within. And for me, I think the giant within kind of revealed itself 3 days ago when somebody contacted me on Twitter. He said, in the America, he said, in Kinsidon within company, we come out Jamaica, we come out Ghana, Nigeria. And then they tease them. Say, what do you get in a present or on a history as a Sierra Leonean for be proud of? And it shocked me because I say, well, that's been our failing because we will know. Now we get for impart the knowledge, for tell people and say, if you get Salon blood inside you, plenty day where you for be proud of. That is the giant. I send our names, I send our lists, I send our things that we don't do in history. I tell and say, look, go look na the patent office na London. You go see, say, in 1963, Salon government put out a call. Say, is there any company anywhere in the world we can make self-adhesive stamp, level for leak stamp? Salon government put out that. In a thing, no country not be even think about that. 9th February 1964, Sierra Leone became the first country in the world for get self-adhesive stamp you know, for leak postage stamp. 2 years before America, 18 years before Britain. But we know they celebrate within good, but we. 1910, S.B. Thomas Academy in Mabang, Agriculture Academy. It's the first agricultural academy in sub-Saharan Africa, Krioma Naimbana. In 1910, that man talk about self-sufficiency in food. Would have been even though you read that phrase there at that time. Nobody. So these are the giants within where we get to teach people about. Una canto we, una ask the difficult question there, or we go to una invite we now on a meeting there, now on a school, online. We go tell una about the giant there. Let una safety up proud.
Yes.
Say, yeah, we small, but we self we get we own where we fit be proud of.
Yes.
Now me own done so.
Yes. Excellent.
Wow. This is you know, it's been a really enlightening program tonight, and I hope that family them una self really don't get so inspired by what una don't listen to today. And I want to tell plenty of the listeners them thank you for stay with me for as long as we don't stay with we. Definitely, as Mr. Patrice they talk about, we'll get for go part 4, part 5, because there's so much stuff for make we discuss. And I feel very, very thankful, very grateful to you, Mr. Patrice, to you, Mr. Daramy, for making offer on a time, you know, for sit down and discuss this program. Just like you say, Mr. Patrice, and also to Mr. To you know, Diaspora Voices. You know, Mr. Wahab, una time una the gear as well, so because we are not getting paid for this, but we feel it very important for make we self begin for talk about we self we begin them to know about we. And as I can always advise with people then, take 1 hour every week, 1 hour per week, discuss with you picking them. Anything about Sierra Leone history, anything about African history, just 1 hour no more. You go be amazed what you go come out with. Just take 1 hour, see what you picking them, whether they're old 5-year-old, as long as they're sabia for talk. If not Totio, you have for being talk to them about when they're old 4-5-year-old. Begin talk Totio. Anything, just no matter whether they're good, bad, evil, which, whatever it is, you're going to say, just talk, bring the subject up. Masks them there, masquerades there, different things. Discuss about you culture. Some people we don't understand we language them, and all before talk we language them. No problem. Sometimes you can even engage a way with somebody that will go to offer you picking language lessons, then maybe once a week or twice a week. I don't know, or once every month. But there are many ways in the world for engage the young one they now make themselves begin for know the giants where they inside them. Because if we fail them, now we are the last of the colonial generation, or shall I say, post-colonial generation. Now we are the last one there. If you see we don't go, the other generation where they come now, all thing on a tablet a day, all thing on a computer a day. So the records, they know the day, that kind way they like how may you to how they get and so this kind of vibe. They're gonna lose that. So make we begin forget that we say, let we find the giants them. Where they within we, let we put them giants, let we wake up them giants and the inside we picking them. If you know that they no put the giants inside we picking them again, make themselves grow up for build a better nation. And most importantly, let them get the sacrificial heart, just like how Bai Bureh get for faith, for we land. And look after we land. Make we left for one away from we land where we get. We get challenges them na Sierra Leone. Plenty challenges in Sierra Leone. But frankly speaking, unless we build we safe and we picking them for make we go look after we land, it will be very, very difficult for we safe for make it will be difficult for we and for we picking them and for the future. And if not, we'll not take them, Jack, then go begin for come back. And these days, they're not named Jacko. These days they name Wanshuan, they name Maharabati. They name beaucoup different other name them. They not just name Jack now. So Jack go come, but then get beaucoup other different name now. Then go carry it. In fact, some they even now we own name nine in the tot now. Then get we own name bang bang bang. Where they say on my Lord, we'll get for tackle all of this together. Let me find the giant inside of we. We go team up strong for carry the future generation. So hopefully, for the next talk, I guess Mr. Daramy, Mr. Patrice. Are we going to look at King Naimbana, King Jimmy, King Pademba? Are we going to be looking at this one next? I'll get for ask that question because, of course, now we'll get for involved in the research and so on. But I get for ask that whether I want for go that because I get that I they think of us like the Sierra Leone national anthem because it's a very important document for me to examine again and I will see all that and go. What in that mean again? For this same spirit we talk about so. And there's so many names that we'll get for look at as well. But I want for open and to before I close the program finally. Who's our officer will go with them?
We go get for discuss and we get for talk to the historian Brady. It's all within the spirit of Bai Bureh and Mr. Usman. Of course, you know, as storyteller, we listen to the village. And Mr. Usman don't put down a proper question, right? So that is determining the direction that we can take. The fact that he asked that question means that we get for pull the story, but that within the context of the spirit of Bai Bureh. And there are many others. So it looks like this series is going to go on for quite a bit. Because the spirit of Bai Bureh, waiting at the spirit. The spirit is what is the animating principle, waiting at that fuel, waiting at that engine, waiting at that I don't want to say liber, but the spirit is waiting they motivate, waiting at the inner energy, the values them, right? We then great man them, Lamina Sanko and you know. There's so many, and the great things that we. So I think in that frame day, Mr. USIFU, I think it will be good because I think when a caller puts down something like that, and we have historians on the panel, then it's our duty to address it properly, not skim it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we go there for talk, but how we go. You know, box up the national anthem. I'm sure we can move into that quite seamlessly. You know, I'm not saying a problem. You know, but it has to be addressed because treaties were written, and we therefore show the people them. But they were,
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say about things like the treaties, because as I said, since I can't Gambia, I find out and don't find out all the treaties they would sign with plenty of them are there online. So I now make the pledge, say by next couple of weeks I could offend them all, and but I'll by sort of Wednesday of this week I don't know how many of them are able to offend online, and then we can look at that. Now the national anthem, in a funny way, we national anthem controversial, and I'll tell you why I say controversial, because when you look at it, it says the music is by John Akka. Okay, 27th April 1961, Salon become independent. 1 year later, John Akka had effectively, the man will write the music for the national anthem, had to take in own government to court. Because where the initial constitution of Sierra Leone said anybody born in Sierra Leone is entitled to be a Sierra Leonean and can stand for any office of the land, then changed the law. Less than 1 year later, you know what the law read after that? Anybody of Negro African descent. Of Negro African descent. He took the case to court. Banja Tijansi, who was Chief Justice, found in his favor. Government appealed that case from 1962 till 1969, and he won it at the Privy Council in England. The man will write within, because they're not going to make Lebanese man able to stand for parliament. In Mamana Timini, in Dadina Lebanese. In Dadi Bindon lived in Salon for 56 years. In the Jonaka, born in Salon. He was our head of broadcasting. He was our director, now informed with National Dance Troupe. And yet suddenly, as he said, you have disenfranchised me. I am no longer a citizen. 1 year after independence. So when we talk about the national anthem, not just the national anthem no more, there's so much that is a spin-off from that. We will therefore look at.
I think that could be a fantastic subject when we get down to that, because I actually want for me we do that project. I just want we do the national anthem just on its own, while we look at the background, but then look at it line for line.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, with the whole spirit, because we see that spirit of Bai Bureh through John Akka written in this. I mean, Usman Conte asked another question: why our governments, past and present, do not celebrate our heroes like what they do in America for Martin Luther King Jr. in America? Well, I think to say,
Mr. Usman, that question, they go ask present government. Not ask we. Go ask.
No, well, if he says something, we know why they.
No, we don't know why. Oh, we don't know. We don't know why. We can tell you about maybe the past. We could go research about the past, but the present one there, you know, Salome, man, you are completely at liberty for go out there. Why?
No, I think he's just wondering. I think he's just
wondering.
And but then, now look, folks. One of the things that we are done. I've been on the push for at least 2-3 times. I've done Facebook Live on it. Was simply this question: why is it even that we not get one grabu where they don't put na Freetown, na Kenema, na Bona, wherever na the country, one grabu where honor all the people that where they don't kill na Sierra Leone from post-independence right up to present. We not get one grabu.
No,
almost the topic that we can't deal with.
Fine. No, that's what I'm saying. We're not going into this now, but what I want for make we listeners them, you understand, even as we talk now, so is that this program is about, like I say, we go inside the Shukublai, deep inside. Then we put them so that we understand, why make we day we say we day. If we think of the Sankofa symbol. You did look beyond for make you know why make you day you day, let you plan how you get for go forward. So it's important, let we understand this. This is why at the axis This for me is why this program, I think, so important, so necessary. But with that, I think I'll get for wrap up now, because I know for say we don't go on for quite a while. I want to tell all the listeners then plenty thank you. If una not watch part one, una go watch Spirit of Bai Bureh part one, na the diaspora voices Facebook page. Then part two as well, Dede as well. It's also there on YouTube as well. And but for now, I think we will just wrap up and so. The next program will come, which is in 2 weeks' time. We will begin to examine more details on some of the other amazing giants them we don't get now Sierra Leone. So I tell you plenty thank you for joining this barre, so and all this discussion over the past. I tell you plenty thank you for that time. So me na USIFU JALLOH, the cow footprints. This is Speak Up, Speak Out with Diaspora Voices. Look forward for seeing you all again in 2 Sundays' time.